Senator from Missouri.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to bring attention to the abject failures of the Biden administration's 3 years on. Let's briefly recap the last 3 years from Joe Biden. Executed a disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan that led to the deaths of 13 brave members of our armed forces. Targeted parents at school board meetings and floated the idea of deeming them as domestic terrorists in an official memo. Declared outright war on domestic energy production and then pillaged our strategic petroleum reserve, causing gas prices to soar. Attempted to force tens of millions of Americans to get a vaccine or lose their jobs. Recklessly spent billions and billions of dollars, which led to historic inflation and soaring prices. Refused to enforce the laws in place that we currently have at the southern border and proactively fought those laws in court, leading to record-breaking numbers of illegal immigration. Created the largest censorship enterprise in American history and worked with big tech companies to censor Americans' voices. Repeatedly vilified half the country as MAGA extremists in speech after speech. Attempted to unilaterally cancel $500 billion worth of student loan debt. Weaponized agencies like the FBI to go after Catholics and more broadly, American citizens. Projected weakness on the world stage has emboldened our enemies. I could go on, but I think you get the point. Joe Biden has weaponized federal agencies against his fellow Americans, worked with big tech companies to censor American speech, poured gasoline on the inflation fire, stifled domestic energy production, refused to secure the border, and has supercharged the growth of the administrative state. Americans can barely afford household items and needs and are incurring historic levels of credit card debt. Our national debt is skyrocketing. The so-called Inflation Reduction Act actually caused inflation to skyrocket. Bidenomics is a failure no matter how this administration tries to spin it. Millions and millions of illegal immigrants are flowing across the border and into the interior of the United States. The Biden administration has fought every reasonable tool they could to stem the crisis at our southern border in court and is currently illegally abusing the parole system. Fentanyl and other drugs are flowing into our communities as a result. The whole of the federal government has been weaponized against the very people it's supposed to serve. Joe Biden was the architect of the largest censorship enterprise our country has ever seen. The FBI has targeted Catholics, and Joe Biden wanted to label parents who wanted to stick up for their kids in school board meetings as domestic terrorists. And our adversaries can clearly see the weakness that's being projected by Joe Biden. China is militarizing islands in the South China Sea, and they're playing for keeps. Iran-backed insurgencies are attacking ships in the Red Sea and are launching attacks against our own military installations. There are still hostages being held by Hamas. The simple fact is, the Biden administration and the Biden presidency has been a disaster for the American people and for our country as a whole. Madam President, I yield back.